Hello, I am Jolene Teresa, founder of Studio X Presents, and we're going to be talking today about preparing for a photo shoot. Now, this specifically is going to be preparing for a photo shoot, not for photos for events. Whether you're doing a photo shoot for yourself, with friends, family, etc., we at Studio X Presents have a bit of a list of things we like to do to prepare ourselves to ensure that we have the best experience and make the most of our shoot. We're going to specifically be talking about pre-photo shoot, during the photo shoot, and after the photo shoot. So pre-photo shoot, when you're planning your shoot, you want to take a look at your calendar if you are a female. We don't want to schedule our photo shoot during certain times of our menstrual cycle, or maybe you do. I like to try to avoid that personally and get the photos at a certain time of the month. Now, this can't always be avoided, but that's something to think about when you're planning photos. If you're going to be doing photos outside, keep an eye on what the weather patterns are and have a backup plan. Once you have a photographer, a location, and a date in mind, let's talk about how to prepare yourself and your body for your photo shoot. Now, depending on what type of photo shoot you're doing, I personally like to start about 2 weeks ahead and create a diet that makes sure that my skin is clear and that my body is feeling energetic because I tend to do movement in my photos. If you're someone who is prone to bloating, also think about cutting out foods that you easily bloat with, and then maybe plan a meal after your photo shoot where you can eat all of your favorite things again. Now, if you're doing a photo shoot that involves a lot of strenuous activity, for me would be pole or aerial. I don't do a lot of pole and aerial prior to a photo shoot so that my body is ready for those movements and I'm not exhausted. If you're doing a solo photo shoot for yourself and you don't really know the photographer, or maybe you have some specific things in mind, bring a friend. I've been doing photos for almost 30 years with various photographers, and I've never had a professional photographer tell me I couldn't bring someone with me. Bring a friend and create a playlist. Maybe your friend plays it on their phone, maybe you play it from a car, maybe you're inside of a venue that has access to a Bluetooth speaker. Either way, curate a playlist that makes you feel good with the type of photos you're taking. And that doesn't necessarily have to make other people feel comfortable. Maybe you're doing a sexy photo shoot and Let's Get It On is the song that you need to make yourself feel quirky before you do some sexy photos. Put that song on it. Maybe it's the Monster Mash. Whatever it is that makes you feel like you're gonna get in the mood to take those photos, put it on your playlist. If you have specific things you're looking for, make a Pinterest board or a mood board and share this with your friend that you're bringing with you and the photographer. That way the photographer knows what you're looking for. I like to be specific and say, I want to do these poses, I want this type of lighting, I want this black and white, grainy, moody, old school Hollywood vibe, and have a visual reference so that they know what you mean by those words. If you're not used to doing your own hair and makeup, test that out ahead of time. Set up your phone or a camera, just move around a bit, do a couple of things, maybe turn the camera off, cook some food, and then come back, take another video. See if your hair and makeup holds up, because sometimes it doesn't. If you're doing movement in costumes, try the costumes on and move around in them. Do the poses. There might be adjustments that need to be made for the specific poses you have in mind with the costumes. And then the last thing you really want to make sure you do is create a packing list. Create a list of everything you want to bring to the photo shoot and then bring extra. If you're doing photos for the specific reason of a photographer asking for your help, then make sure you communicate what they're looking for with all of the things we just listed. As a fitness model, I have worked with a lot of different photographers specifically because they need someone who can hold ballet poses, pole poses, or varying different poses on the floor for long periods of time, or be able to slowly maneuver their way in and out of them so that they can learn to understand how to take photos with movement. So for me, when I'm doing these types of photos, I ask them what kind of costumes they want, and then I bring everything I'm comfortable with so they can just pick from what I bring. I ask for visual references of hair and makeup. I don't really care what playlist is on, but I bring one just in case. And then I make sure if I'm doing a fitness photo shoot that my body has everything it needs to be able to physically do these things, but also looks good. The last thing I like to do for photo shoots as I'm preparing is making sure that I pack some snacks. Maybe it's during the photo shoot, maybe it's after the photo shoot, whatever it is, I just want to make sure I have snacks and water available in case I need them. During your photo shoot, make sure that you feel comfortable, and if you don't, communicate that with the photographer so you can kind of goof off for a minute and make yourself feel comfortable. Regardless if the photos are for the photographer or for you, make sure you're communicating with the photographer. Is my leg straight because I want it to be straight? Do I need to do this at a different angle? Hey, I know you said you like this, but can we try this as well? Also have your friend help you out. If I'm doing dance photos, I usually bring a friend to tell me, you're microbending your knee. You're doing it again. Fix your arm. And they will because they know I want a really good photo and they're there to help me out. I usually buy them lunch or something after, but it's really helpful to have someone you're comfortable with helping you with these things as well. Most digital photographers have a screen that they can show you photos on. So sometimes they'll show you a cool photo, or sometimes you just have to ask, hey, do you mind if I take a look at that one? Because I really want to make sure I get a certain angle. And they'll show you a few and you can say, ooh, like that, but you see how you can't see my arm. When we're doing it, can you tell me how to move so that you can see my arm? And they'll help you out with that. And it's a ton of fun because you get to create this creative process with someone else. Additionally, it might seem weird at first, but take their direction. Sometimes you get a really cool photo that you didn't know you could get based on someone else's idea. For reference, I did a photo shoot with Wild Company in Nashville, Tennessee, and these people, I had never met them before. It's a husband and wife team. And they had done a bunch of burlesque photos, and I said, I just want circus photos. I showed up with smoke bombs, an aerial rig, and then the skies opened up and it started pouring rain. So we ran into a barn, and I just took direction. And it's some of my favorite photos I've ever taken. It was an incredibly fun shoot. I took all of their direction. They were doing crazy lighting. They lit me with a flashlight through a balloon, and it came out cool. So sometimes your photographer just has this amazing weird idea that you would have never thought of, but it becomes your favorite masterpiece. So take direction from your photographer, be communicative, and create stuff together. If you're doing a solo photo shoot and it does require a lot of physical activity, take breaks. If you don't know how to schedule these breaks in, have your friend tell you or set a timer. Maybe after 15 minutes, you just really need a 5-minute break. Maybe you can go the whole hour. Whatever it is that you're used to being able to do for physical activity. Or maybe you just know when your body's tired and you communicate that with the photographer. Hey, I need a quick break. Okay. But make sure you're taking care of your body because you don't want to get injured or too tired just doing a photo shoot. When you're done with a photo shoot, if you don't know the photographer that well and maybe it wasn't fully communicated, ask them about when you should be receiving photos. I usually send an email that says, hey, thank you so much. I had a really fun time. I'm not really worried about turnaround time. I'm just looking for an ETA. I'm assuming it's going to be a couple months. It's never a couple months, but by telling them I assume it's going to be a long period of time, they feel really confident saying, no, I'll get them to you in 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 10 weeks is a pretty standard turnaround time, especially if they're going to be doing some type of editing or if you are buying a bunch of photos, because there's going to be at least a little editing going on. On top of that, if they're a professional photographer, they probably have other shoots scheduled. But by saying to them, hey, I assume it's going to be a few months, they get to say, no way. It's going to be 1, maybe 2. That's it. That way it makes them feel good, but also I don't feel rude asking them. Now, once you get the photos, if the photos have a watermark on them, don't remove it without asking a photographer. And if it gets clipped off on social media, make sure to tag the photographer. Oftentimes I like to tag the photographer in the photo on, say, Instagram, and then write photo by and either their company name or their tag on the bottom. That way they're getting some type of reference for this photo. Now, this is not required if you have purchased these photos. It's just a respectful thing to do. Giving credit where credit is due is just highly respectful. But if someone had asked to take photos of you for a specific reason, it's also not required, but it is highly recommended to say, hey, I worked with this person, got this cool stuff done. Here's their page or website or contact. After your photo shoot, you also want to make sure to take care of your body. You may have exhausted it, and if you were on a diet, don't go too crazy because you're going to make yourself sick. Maybe grab a pizza and that's it for the day, and then slowly get back into your old school diet. But make sure you're taking care of your body. The last thing I want to leave you with is when you're doing photos as a model, or even if you're just trying to get photos done, there are a few things you want to keep in mind when interacting with photographers you don't know publicly online. First of all, always be understanding that miscommunication in words happens all the time. So try to pull that conversation through an email. If you are on social media and someone starts commenting, hey, I want to do photos, that's an interesting tactic. I don't take that as professional, especially because my email address is in my profile. So you could just email. I try to bring all conversations through email so that I have a record of them. But also, if they don't have a website, they don't have a portfolio, and they're commenting all over social media, it's probably not a professional photographer. It's probably someone who just wants photos of you. Take the compliment and move on. Anytime a photographer has ever reached out to work with me, there's always been a private conversation with contractual information, meaning a date, a time, I can bring a friend, payment information, how that payment and when that payment will be processed, and any parameters, whether there's nudity, no nudity, whether there will be kids there, whether it's a very adult photo shoot, what type of photos. All of this information should be upfront. So when you're looking for a photographer, or if a photographer is looking for you, keep this in mind. Take care of yourself before, during, and after photo shoots, and as always, stay safe out there.